4 inches incline.
Don't stand in the way of that thing.
Yeah, I know. Just gotta put that video camera right away.
That's all I'm doing. We're taking the
Trent, set it out outside, Henry.
I'm going to send him twice. We're going to fill forth with the end of my I don't need nobody like this. No problem.
Yeah, come on. close-ups of any landing gear or anything like that?
Yeah. Sure. Then when? Okay, I'm ready. 6-inch drop. Hey Danny, where are you going to take me?
I'm gonna be out of your way.
Okay. It's an 8-inch drop.
8-inch. Pull it, antennas down, nose greased, okay, ready to go. Yes. Step aside to grab the switch. Can't hit the curtain with the tail.
I got it.
Eight-inch incline. Yeah, they're selling tires.
Oh, are they
They're meant to take that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
We didn't mean to do it, but they're meant to take it.
No. I don't have enough. I get stuff in.
That way when we rip it, they don't blow.
Get rid of one of those. I got a shorter edge turnbuckle. You got the shuttle? See what I mean?
your mic was.
Then put it back in.
No, it
Check the struts.
one thing you're going to put the front down.
Touch it. Still, make the thing up there. Yeah.
it down there, right?
It is sitting in a strap or something.
No, the air tanks. The air tanks. Yeah, it's strap. It's almost ripping that lid off.
Did we catch it?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because it looks just a little loose, so it must have caught it.
Like that. Yeah. Well, look. Nice eat, isn't it? Nice eat. Well, we took the one more. We didn't want to 3-inch. Smoke them if we got them. Say a word. Test drop.
Yeah. Okay, 4 inches, 10 degrees. Second time, no plates. Excellent. Went right down on the nose.
That's on the pit up here.
Your hook itself.
Tell me when you're ready, though. Oh, he's got the. Okay, you're taking it. You got a 3-hour cover.
And the FAA man said that was good.
Haven't looked at the data yet.
That's the shuttle from New York.
Are you ready to ride the 43?
barrel model. Put a couple of air. That's about what the air take on the radiator.
No, it's right under the wings. I was thinking it was an 839 airboat.
Oh, it's a brewery. Italian guys.
February?
Go whatever. Got it, guy.
7-7.
Yeah, you need a measurement for last week? No. Give it to me? First one? Need bread. Huh? Need bread.
We're taking a fucking break.
Last time was 1420, right? We're on 1420 last time. That was it, 8-inch drop, we'd be done. Kissing heavy, how are you?
Heavy.
Come on up. Can you move in front to back? All right, kiss it light. Right out.
That's good.
Same. Same.
Grease it, antennas.
Degrees? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to measure that from the bottom from now on.
Yeah. Ready?
Okay. Okay, second 8-inch drop.
Okay, now we gotta get set up for spin up, right?
Take the measurements first, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I measured the landing gear. Landing gear, yeah. Of the net. Yes.
Smell a little rubber burn.
I know, I do.
You can smell rubber burn. Danny, what's your blood?
If I see, I'd say. Roll, roll. one is this, 41 or 42?
41.
Yeah.
Decimal. So set up for 6.
Set up for 6, okay.
Five, decimal 1, 2.
Boy, that's getting up there.
Oh, from the bottom? No. No, that's from the bottom.
Oh.
Well, actually, yeah, that's 6.
Oh, yeah.
None.
Pretty high. This one ought to be about 6.2.
.62 you mean?
What is it?
.62 you mean?
Yeah.
Let's see.
60.
Faster wheel drops. Notice that? That wheel careful.
Hey, Jim. What?
They were on hold.
One night after that. She says, now you guys, but you get it. She said, I know it's complicated.
Camera on.
Temp with benefits and your temp without benefits.
That's unfair.
Of course it's unfair.
I think we should protest.
Especially when you've been here before. It's very fair. I think you should walk out straight.
Hey, I think we should strike.
Ready?
Yeah? The fucking things are all over the place. I know. Let's see when you get up there, Dave. And practice spinning. You don't have to leave it going full. Get it going about half speed. Just make sure we're registered. I don't think we're getting anything. I just went for it, you know. And I knew we had to be up there.
I think we were there. Penny, I need you to write down some numbers. .63.
What's that?
Right hand main landing gear. All right, General D.
What are you writing here? Just that one?
This is called nose.
Yeah, I remember.
4.52.
He's gonna convert it? No.
.58.
Yeah.
What would the holidays be with? Contest, economic activity has to be effective. We'll be back after this. Smokers using the finest hickory hardwood for the ultimate flavor. Quality is never sacrificed by using liquid smokers. Serve Rhode savory smoked cheeses.
.60. Huh? 4.44. .58.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Extend like this. The two bearings, closer together. This compressor is far apart.
That's no real good.
They're close together. You get a bending moment on this. And it grabs those two and fires. Then it breaks loose. That's why you see that delay in the stroke curve.
Yeah, it won't come loose.
Now, when we were in the Kmax, we were extended the whole time because we were extending. And the thing would sit there and bounce up. Had a big moment.
A nylon one.
And the thing would sit there not up, and it wouldn't do this. Close to it. Bearing against the gears, it gave us a real hard time. This thing breaks, it's probably breaking. I got a broken HP.
Look right now.
Nose is steady. Let's do one at a time. Left is steady.
Left, you know
All
what?
right, you're going. You're going. It was.
It ain't working, I got no light.
Let it go. Go by the nose. Let's go.
No.
Okay, Doug, it's up to you now.
Try to open this?
Hold on, are they clearing the way? They got all the picture.
A second.
Yes.
Yeah, but it-
Huh?
You're gonna end up looking like Steve Silverman.
Hold it.
Antennas down. Antennas down. Grease the pig.
Antenna on the left side. Eight's as high as it'll go. Right, that button in. We got to the hurdle of the race. Okay.
It's like climbing a rope.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, come on over. So what's next? You got to put the space plates on now? Next week. Then we got to put these two. No, we got to hold these two together. And then on top of the other plate. It's just an end line. Get over here, fellas.
flying around, he's flying around. That guy goes along. Hey, flying alongside of that part way. He's flying a pattern with his radar out. I wear my big antenna.
Comes CBS, PBS,
ABC on the film. Yes.
Turn it down. For Greece.
Yeah.
You're planning. Ed, you want us to move this for you?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, we can do it.
Oh, just space. We got relocation in the film. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, guys, measure gear. Back. That's why it says up. Hey, I gotta get the information for FCP.
Change in the ceiling. You know what I mean? No change. The ceiling's not correct. But there's the acid ceiling here. It looks like there never was a problem.
Practical on the Gamma Ray Observatory, which had an antenna stuck on it. Exciting pictures, aren't they? These are the feet of the astronauts,
Well,
ladies and
it's
gentlemen.
pretty exciting that we're seeing them from
This
space.
is Mission Control
live.
Houston, Jerry Ross and Jay.
They're coming back in the orbiter as soon as they're safe and sound. We'll let you more about that. Noah, more about that. It's Monday. The movie...
A busy day in space, both inside and outside the crew quarters of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. CNN's John Zarella joined us now for an update. Kind of fun to see them outside and back in again.
The Jay and Jerry Show, Part 2. It went like clockwork, a very, very busy day for the astronauts in space. It was the second edition, high above the Earth at 280 miles. They worked outside for about 5.5 hours and just, about 30 minutes or so got back inside the spacecraft for some much-deserved dinner and rest. It was a day where they just practiced Buck Rogers maneuvers all day long, dazzling the world.
715 with 100% power.
For the second time in 24 hours, astronauts Jerry Ross and Jay Apt left the protective confines of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. Sunday, it was mostly business as the two fixed a stuck antenna on the Gamma Ray Observatory before releasing it to fly on its own. Monday was business too, but there was time for a few laughs as Apt and Ross peered into a crew cabin window.
They're eating. They're eating.
During this 5.5-hour planned spacewalk, Ross and Apt worked on various techniques for moving equipment around in space. They set up a 46-foot track and mounted it to the side of the payload bay. Then, attached to a cart, they pulled themselves along the track.
You could go forever this way. What a great view. Isn't that fantastic? Okay. Braking. Acceleration in the reverse direction is no problem, Captain.
The techniques for moving about and working in space will be essential for astronauts when the space station is constructed around the turn of the century.
Well, whatever is easiest is what we're trying to evaluate, and then we will incorporate that design into the space station design.
The two astronauts also used mechanical and electric carts. Turning the handles on the electric cart produces 24 volts of electricity, propelling the cart down the track at 6 feet per second.
I'd still prefer a less energetic requirement for driving a cart. Manual is by far the best. Yeah, no question.
With the cargo bay open to the Earth, the astronauts found time for some sightseeing.
That's Cuba, isn't it? It sure is. There's Florida, the whole Keys. Holy cow, what a view.
Perhaps the most spectacular event was saved for last. Astronaut Apt, attached by foot restraints, was moved around on the end of the shuttle's 50-foot remote arm. Here, NASA was testing keeping the arm stable while an astronaut works perhaps on a satellite or performs maintenance on the outside of the space station. A few minutes later, they flipped him over, and it was quite a ride, an amusement park ride for astronaut Ross. Gosh, that's got to be fun, I think.
Yeah, the pictures, a far cry from those black and white fuzzy Apollo pictures that we used to get.
Absolutely amazing what NASA's able to do these days. I'm ready for a ride.
That's neat. I'd go.
Good to see you, John, up close and personal like this. And good to have you back, Cheryl. That's
Thanks.
Early Prime. I'm Lou Waters.
I'm Cheryl Atkinson. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care.
At midnight Eastern Time.
When the world today returns, John Zarella on the shuttle astronaut spacewalk steps toward the future of manned spaceflight.
Two astronauts from the shuttle Atlantis went spacewalking again today. They finished about 2 hours ago, but this trip outside, unlike an earlier one, had been planned in advance. CNN's John Zarella has the latest.
715 with 100% power.
For the second time in 24 hours, astronauts Jerry Ross and Jay Apt left the protective confines of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. Sunday, it was mostly business as the two fixed a stuck antenna on the Gamma Ray Observatory before releasing it to fly on its own. Monday was business too, but there was time for a few laughs as Apt and Ross peered into a crew cabin window.
They're eating. They're eating.
During this 5.5-hour planned spacewalk, Ross and Apt worked on various techniques for moving equipment around in space. They set up a 46-foot track and mounted it to the side of the payload bay. Then, attached to a cart, they pulled themselves along the track.
You could go forever this way. What a great view. Isn't that fantastic? Okay. Braking. Acceleration in the reverse direction is no problem, Captain.
The techniques for moving about and working in space will be essential for astronauts when the space station is constructed around the turn of the century.
Well, whatever is easiest is what we're trying to evaluate, and then we will incorporate that design into the space station design.
The two astronauts also used mechanical and electric carts. Turning the handles on the electric cart produces 24 volts of electricity, propelling the cart down the track at 6 feet per second.
I'd still prefer a
With the cargo bay open to the Earth, the astronauts found time for some sightseeing.
That's Cuba, isn't it? It sure is. There's Florida, the whole Keys. Holy cow, what a view.
Perhaps the most spectacular event was saved for last. Astronaut Apt, attached by foot restraints, was moved around on the end of the shuttle's 50-foot remote arm. Here, NASA was testing keeping the arm stable while an astronaut works perhaps on a satellite or performs maintenance on the outside of the space station.
Jerry, we're going to roll you over.
Jerry Ross then took over on the arm and got the amusement park ride of his life, as astronaut Linda Godwin, operating the arm from inside the shuttle, turned him over on his head. In all, the two spent 9 hours in space. Was it enough?
Jerry's not going to get to log any more time.
Day 4 of the Shuttle Atlantis mission. A relatively fun third day was highlighted by a spacewalk. The astronauts today are maneuvering Atlantis close to the Gamma Ray Observatory, trying to contact the Soviet space station Mir. CNN correspondent Tom Mintier joins us with an update. Tom?
Well, they've been able to look at Mir, and they've been able to look at the Gamma Ray Observatory as they whisk around the Earth at more than 17,000 miles an hour. It only takes about 90 minutes to go all the way around. In addition, they have been working on some of the secondary experiments while they are packing up some of their gear and preparing for the trip home. This is the Cher experiment. This is the space station heat pipe, and they worked with this one this morning. It takes a red liquid, and they drop and insert it in, trying to get it to come together. So this is one of those experiments that will be aboard the space station. The Gamma Ray Observatory, they managed to look out the window and see it. They were less than 100 miles away from it. That white dot in the center of your screen is as Atlantis passed over the Gamma Ray Observatory. It is the first time we have seen it since they released it Sunday night after a spacewalk to fix the high gain antenna. The spacewalks have concluded now. They have put the gear away for the spacewalks. This was the second one yesterday that was planned to test out some of the transition aids that they will use to build and repair a space station. They tried several different varieties, a manual, an electrical, and they had a long time out in the cargo bay. They spent more than 5 hours working on these different devices. Apparently the manual one, they said, worked the best. The electrical one didn't work too well. At one point, they realized they had the brake on it. They are going to be landing not on the lake beds at Edwards Air Force Base in California, but on a concrete runway because of all the rain they've had. We, of course, will have live coverage. The landing is now scheduled for 10:35 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That is 7:35 a.m. Pacific Time, and we will be covering it live. Donna?
Tom, thank you. Horse race.
Persian Gulf. Well, the Space Shuttle Atlantis now is in the final full day of its Earth orbiting mission. It's to land Wednesday in the California desert. CNN's Tom Mintier has been tracking the shuttle, now joins us live with the latest. Tom.
Reed, they are packing up and getting ready to head home after what NASA is calling one of the most successful missions of the 39 that have occurred so far. This morning, the crew worked on some secondary experiments, but spent most of the morning packing away the gear necessary and making the tests required for a re-entry and a landing at Edwards Air Force Base in California. One of the things they were testing today was something called Cher. That is the Space Station Heat Pipe Advanced Radiator Element. It is a test that they are running in preparation for the space station. It has flown on several other orbits before, but this time we got a better look at it. The clear red liquid that you see inside here is pumped in, and then they put some bubbles in. Now, the rapid rate that they get rid of the bubbles determines how effective the radiator is. It is something that will be flown a couple of more times before the space station is built. They also conducted some maneuvering tests. They are using radar. The white dot in the small little insert in your screen is the Gamma Ray Observatory from several miles away. They pulled within 75 miles of the Gamma Ray Observatory. That's the one they deployed on Sunday after freeing the stuck antenna. They also passed along a little farther away from the Mir space station. The two Soviet cosmonauts have been in there for 128 days. There will be a landing at Edwards Air Force Base in California. They will land on a concrete runway. There is too much rain in the area to come down on the lake bed. So they will be on the dry runway. Landing is scheduled for 10:35 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 7:35 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It will occur just after sunrise in the California desert. We, of course, will have that landing for you live here on CNN. Reed?
Tom, the critics of spacewalks who've called them just a stunt, they seem to be losing a little ground here and there, don't they?
I think so. You know, this was the second emergency spacewalk that we've had. This one showed that when something goes wrong, even when you don't have a plan to fix it, you can go outside and do that. And I think that those supporters of the space program will say that, you know, by being able to make the Gamma Ray Observatory operational simply by going out and jerking the antenna loose, that's something that you couldn't do without manned spaceflight. And yesterday's, where they were able to test in real time and take medical data and downlink the pictures to the engineers showing the difference in the...
NASA scientists scrubbed today's touchdown because of severe desert winds at the landing site in California.
Good morning. East Coast or West? NASA is hoping one will prove best for the Space Shuttle Atlantis to finally set down. Here's CNN's Tom Mintier with the latest on the shuttle situation. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Bobby. It's looking like Edwards Air Force Base in California more every minute. They say the weather is improving there. They not only have one runway, they have more runways available. CNN's Dan Blackburn joins us now from Edwards Air Force Base in California. And Dan, the sun's just coming up, but it looks like Atlantis will be coming up shortly.
I think so, Tom. The outlook here is really pretty good. This morning, it is much colder and much calmer than it was 24 hours ago. The wind gusts are expected to be only about 21 miles an hour. That's well within the tolerance for the shuttle to come in, and it should probably land on runway 33. That means it will be landing directly into the wind, and of course the shuttle can take higher headwinds than it can crosswinds. At the moment, there's hardly any visible wind at all. The flags that were blowing straight out from behind us yesterday are now hanging fairly limply off the flagpoles, and that pretty much describes the situation. People are walking around here with big grins on their faces. The air of anticipation that you always get before a shuttle landing is taking shape here, and I think the feeling here at this base is that the Atlantis will come down on its first opportunity. I'm Dan Blackburn, CNN, live at Edwards Air Force Base.
All right, Dan, we'll continue to monitor the situation at Edwards Air Force Base. Down at the Kennedy Space Center, John Zarella is joining us at Mission Control in Johnson Space Center. They've sent up the numbers to Atlantis. John, it looks like that there's very, very little doubt now that Edwards is the runway of choice.
Well, I guess we're going to come up the wallflowers again here at the Kennedy Space Center, but the weather couldn't be nicer right now. It's absolutely beautiful, no wind at all. 0 mile an hour gusts, a dead calm here, a beautiful sunrise, clear skies. Earlier in the morning, you could see the fog that was over the runway just around daybreak, but and that was the big concern. The weather meteorologists here expecting that might lift and form some clouds, some low ceiling and some low clouds, but it didn't materialize. The weather here probably just as good, if not better, than Edwards, but once again, we'll be the wallflowers here. Tom?
All right, you won't be the wallflowers until they fire their rockets for re-entry, so there is a possibility, but a remote possibility, that they'll be coming back to Kennedy. But as it stands right now, Edwards Air Force Base is #1 and ready, and we should know within the hour that it's going to be Edwards for sure. Reed?
Well, at least 139 people are feared dead and now checking our top stories on daybreak. NASA mission controllers tentatively are planning to land the Atlantis at Edwards Air Force Base at the next deorbit opportunity. The deorbit burn, if plans go according to plan, will happen in about 15 minutes. Winds had forced officials to postpone yesterday's return to Earth. Forecasters say now conditions are getting better at the primary landing site, Edwards in California. There are 4 landing windows remaining at Edwards and at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. 9:54 a.m. Eastern Time. That's the one they're now considering. There's another one at 10:03. That would be at Florida, and then 11:35, and again at 11:44. At least
this animation, they have the payload to the Earth, and they have the tail in the direction of travel. Now, the burn of the engines to slow it down will last about 3 minutes and 40 seconds. That will slow them down and cause them to drop out of orbit and able to slow down at a rate that they can turn over and then make their glide path. You have to remember that it does not have an engine. Once they fire these, it becomes a glider and continues on until it lands. It cannot provide any power at all.
Seconds away from the burn.
So they're about 30 seconds now away from firing the engines, and at that point they will be making the decision for sure to come back at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Earlier, the winds had been acceptable for 2 runways, but now they only have 1 runway available to them. Let's listen now as they come up to the burn. All right, they are not quite there yet. We're waiting for the confirmation that they have fired the rockets.
Propellant officer reports that the burn is in progress. The guidance, navigation, and control officer reports that the burn looks good and the guidance of the vehicle looks good.
So they have made the decision. They have made the ultimate final decision to come back at Edwards Air Force Base in California. There you see Brian Duffy, who is the Capcom, who will watch the figures now as the burn is continuing as they make their way down to Edwards Air Force Base in California. Joining us now from Edwards, Dan Blackburn, where the landing will be occurring this morning, not at Kennedy, but at Edwards.
And Tom, the winds have begun to pick up a little bit here, but everyone in charge is assuring everyone who cares, and that's a lot of us, that the winds will be fine at landing time, probably gusting at around 21 miles an hour, certainly well within the tolerances for a landing, particularly when they'll be landing straight into the wind, which is the best possible circumstance you could have under these conditions. The winds have been quiet earlier, but they did begin to build, and later today we're told they could be gusting to as high as 70 miles an hour. But by the time that occurs, the shuttle will be sitting safely on the ground on runway 33, and this will mark the very first time the shuttle has touched down on that runway. I'm Dan Blackburn, CNN Live at Edwards Air Force Base.
All right, Dan, we, of course, will carry the landing of Atlantis at Edwards Air Force Base in California live this morning. The touchdown right now is scheduled for 9:54 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 6:54 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, just a little while after the sunrise occurs. And, of course, we will have live coverage. Reed?
Well, Tom, it is a good thing they're not trying to land her in Lander, because Wyoming...
Down at Bird...
Right at this minute about this mission.
Well, I'm envious of the crew that's just did the deorbit burn and started their reentry. It's a beautiful sight. They've had a great mission. We feel very good about it. It's been quite a spectacular success, and now we're going to get them home safely out at Edwards, and I always feel better when we do.
Well, I was going to turn to that general area. Despite all the training they go through, all the precautions, all the calm voices from mission control, there's a certain amount of tension in a situation like the one they're going through now, isn't there?
Well, there's, they're up for it. You know, they're very attentive, but it's really quite beautiful. I saw a reentry both in the daylight and also one at night, and both of them are beautiful, and I'm sure that the crew will be looking out the window when they are not paying attention to the dials and remembering it.
Our Space Affairs correspondent, Tom Mintier, Admiral, was wondering out loud what the fuel situation aboard the shuttle is right now. Was, for example, the weight of the Gamma Ray Observatory a factor in how much fuel they were able to take up?
Each mission, based on the weight of the payload, we load the fuel aboard the shuttle to different amounts. Turns out that we could have stayed airborne until this coming Saturday at least, and probably could have powered down and stayed airborne until Sunday. So up till the point this morning when the team finally got satisfied with the weather, there was plenty of margin. Now the fuel has been balanced for the reentry to control the center of gravity of the airplane, so that as it does its maneuvering, the flight control will be as perfect as we can make it. So we've really had no fuel problems on this flight.
Let's look back, Admiral, if we can, a few years to your mission in 1983 aboard the Shuttle Challenger. We have some video we'd like to put on the screen. I'd like to ask you to try to cast your mind back to that mission and tell us what went through your mind, what feelings and thoughts you had.
Well, I'm unable here to see the video, so I can't really narrate it, but I can tell you it was a flight that I'll never forget. It was aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. It was the first night launch and night landing of the mission. It was my second flight, and I had a great crew with me. There I do see the liftoff now, and I tell you, when the solid rocket motors lighted, it turned night into day. There was a cloud deck up above us, which we went through there.
Houston's with you at Hawaii with a good video.
And
I guess you're seeing a picture of the middeck. Is that true? Roger, we're seeing Richard and Bill on the middeck.
You see yourself there now?
Yeah, sure do. That's
Richard's trying to give us a demonstration. Richard's doing a doctor appointment.
yeah. The Bill Thornton is a person in the foreground there, and he was a medical doctor and a great one, and was very interested in the reaction of the human body to zero gravity. And I was the commander of the flight, but my job in this video was simply to be a medical guinea pig for Bill, and I volunteered to help him any way that I could to provide data.
Get the rockets ready with a contract for when I get back.
Was being up there in any sense for you a spiritual experience at any point, Admiral?
No, I wouldn't call it spiritual, but it certainly was personal, and it made me feel very much at peace with myself. It's so beautiful. As I looked out the window and played around really with in zero gravity, doing all the jobs, but looking out the window and seeing the Earth was one of the most peaceful experiences that I've ever had.
I think that might be, by some people's definition, spiritual.
It could be. I didn't think of it that way. I did pinch myself when I was on orbit, looking out the window, and just so that I would remember that this really was real. It was me seeing the sights that I saw. But I had a lot of fun. There I am playing around a little bit with a radio.
You don't look all that much different today, Admiral Truly. Could you still do what we're seeing you doing now?
Well, I hope so. It was a lot of fun. It's been a while since I've been in training, but I'd love to go back and fly again. But there I am playing around with a hammer. I'm not sure what.
This is still a dangerous business, isn't it? I know that's not the upbeat kind of thought that NASA likes to project, but in fact it is, isn't it?
Well, it is a risky business, and that's the reason that we spend so much time, frankly, in dealing with the risk, in assessing problems that could happen, and making sure that we stay away from those problems. But we've just completing now the 14th safe and successful mission after we got flying after the Challenger accident, and so we think that we are managing the risk very well. But I can tell you that the reason we're so careful is that the flying business is a risky business, and the space business is that way too, and the only way to be perfectly safe is to not fly at all, and that's not the kind of space program that I want NASA and America to have.
I seem to recall someone, Admiral, saying sometime not too long after Challenger that NASA had come to terms with the idea that there would be accidents in the future, serious ones. Was that you?
Well, I've come to terms with that. What I've said publicly, and I'll say again here, is that in any space program, if you fly enough years, fly long enough, sooner or later you're going to have a mishap. It may not, it doesn't hopefully have to be a fatal accident like the Challenger accident, but we're flying real shuttles, real missions, doing real things. They have a great deal of accomplishment to them, but they are machines. They're very powerful. The thrust at launch is a very powerful force, and things can go wrong, and that's the reason we pay so much attention to it. I don't think the nation should lull itself into believing that in the decades and decades ahead of us that we're never going to have another accident, or that we're never going to have an incident. For example, maybe a nose wheel problem on a runway, a landing problem, but frankly, I think if you look at the success record over the last 30 years, we should be very proud of it. This flight that we're on today is, I believe, the 39th flight of the Space Shuttle. We've had one mishap in that period. We're going to fly again later this month and again in May. But we take a lot of care when we send men and women into space, and we're going to keep doing that.
Admiral, if you stay right where you are for a moment, some of our viewers have questions for you, and we'll take those questions and comments for Richard Truly at area 404-221-0218. Stay with us. We are talking with and taking your phone calls for NASA Administrator Admiral Richard Truly. Our first phone call is from Georgia. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Admiral. Back around '86, John Young once stated that if there was ever to be an accident in the shuttle program, it would occur on landing. What kind of safeguards do you have after the re-entry phase if there was a problem to develop?
Well, the landing can be a dangerous part of the mission, and that's the reason we spend so much time training for it. We developed some lighting systems and some runway markings and displays within the vehicle to help the crew. So we put our faith in the safety of the landing and the training that we give the commander of the mission to do it, and that's one place that we've never had a problem yet. John's right, it can be a risky time, but so far we've done very well with it, and Steve Nagel will be the next human to show us how well he can land the orbiter on, I believe, on runway 15 out on the lake bed at Edwards.
Okay, our next call is from Pennsylvania. Hello.
Yes, good morning, Admiral Truly.
Good morning.
It's a great honor to be speaking to you. One of my earliest memories is watching the moon landings, and I've been following the space program with great enthusiasm for a number of years. So what I'm wondering is, say about the year 2050, I'm about 26 now, am I going to be able to take a vacation in space, and am I going to have to get a job with NASA to do it?
Well, as a matter of fact, that's a good question, and we've often thought about that. I think someday that you will be, and you may not have to come to NASA to do it, but that's a long way away. Space is, frankly, right now, even in an embryonic stage, but I think someday, in a decade, maybe far, far away, but maybe not, that space will open up more. Certainly this country is not going to get out of the business, and I appreciate your following it, and delighted to talk to you this morning.
We have a call from John Glenn's home state, Ohio. Hello. Hello, Ohio.
Oh, yes. Hi, my question is, I'm a student here at Ohio State, and I basically was born, there was already people on the moon when I was born, and I've been concerned about the low progress in the space department in general, and I don't blame anyone but probably our budget negotiators. And I wanted to know what the public can do as far as private sector businesses and individual civilians to contribute to the space budget and to the progression of our whole space technology and advance as a nation in this department.
Well, I think the first thing that you can do is keep up your interest and tell your elected representatives that what it means to you. I was just out in Ohio just last week. We've got a major research center there in Cleveland, the Lewis Research Center. The Ohio political delegation has been very much for the space program. We did see a lull in the 70s after Apollo, but frankly, the last 5 years, we've been very well supported by the public and by the Congress. Our budget is rising, and I think that the future is going to bode